What we're living through right now is so out of the normal range of experience for the vast majority of us. This is in sharp contrast for so much of life where we would expect to get some kind of training or education. Nobody gives car keys to a 5-year-old and says, "Here you go, kid, your turn to get the shopping."
How come?
Because I have reasons.
So you'd think we'd get a bit more guidance in life on how to deal with our emotions in turbulent times. Instead, we're kind of shoved out there and told to do this and don't screw up. So maybe it's no surprise that sometimes this can feel a little overwhelming. And when things feel overwhelming, many of us face a choice. We can keep ourselves open to our emotions and risk continuing to feel overwhelmed, or we switch off because of empathy overload. Wait. Is that a thing? Yes. Let me explain. Empathy is our observing or even just imagining what another person is feeling and having it trigger the same sort of feeling in us. Some people don't just feel empathy, they get overwhelmed by it to the point where it can turn noxious on you, making you pull back from people you care about when they need you the most. Now that doesn't make you a bad person, but it does maybe indicate that there are some nuances of empathy that you could learn about and the control we can take over it so it's helpful instead of harmful. So here's the thing. Our initial bolt of empathy is automatic, but once we experience it, we can funnel our empathy one of two ways: into unhealthy empathic distress or healthy empathic concern. Empathic distress is me focused, empathy that turns into emotional quicksand when we just keep feeling with a person, feeling and feeling and feeling, without doing anything to try to change their situation. In time, we get overwhelmed by the distress we're experiencing at their distress, and this often leads to withdrawal behavior, our trying to escape our uncomfortable emotions by ducking out and leaving the other person alone with their suffering. Now, empathic concern, on the other hand, is an other focused response. It starts with our experiencing that initial bolt of feeling with a person who's suffering, but then we shift into a feeling for, as in, what can I do for you? Empathic concern is basically empathy with an action plan, motivating us to try to make things better for another person. The important takeaway from this for you is that you don't have to let your feelings run the show, dragging you along behind them. You can instead control your feelings by shifting from me-driven empathy, empathic distress, to other-focused empathy, empathic concern. In practice, this simply takes redirecting your focus on how sad you are to how helpful you can be, emotionally and practically. And the great thing is that the items on your empathic concern to-do list will be stuff like call your loved ones, make a blanket for, staying in your bubble, and encouraging everyone to wash their hands. In other words, empathy with an action plan doesn't take an empathic genius. It mostly just takes showing up. I'm Saab Johal, and this is day 15, and we're over halfway there. Keep going. I'll see you again tomorrow because I'm still not going anywhere.